Greetings, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. Shout out to a number of people who sent me the article, and also KT1, who's already done a great job covering this on his channel. This is simply my perspective on news that broke thanks to a link sent to me from several of you this morning that was making the rounds regarding the future of this Marvel Casino of Champions and Kabam as a whole. We know it's been a tough year for Kabam. We know that the Realm of Champions is gone. We know that, the Transformers Forged to Fight game is gone. And that is a big deal, because that game came out about the same time as the Marvel Casino of Champions. But I will say, sometimes companies go lean just to increase profits, even if there isn't like a major revenue issue. So sometimes layoffs aren't indicative of financial problems. They're more indicative of what they hope the next quarter will look like, because if you have less salaries on your books, that means that you have less expenses, which make their way in theory if the revenue is the same for more profit. But it's also worth noting that this game has still had a ton of issues every month with Kabam's full paid workforce. I do want to point out that Kabam has made an effort on the forums in recent weeks to say that they're hiring more people just for things like modding in Battlegrounds and other kinds of catching terms of service abusers. So they're at least publicly committed to that. But let's get into this article that's making the rounds. And this is specifically from a website that I've almost never visited. And that is the website known as TechCrunch.com. Or it's titled Gaming Company Kabam lays off 7% of its workforce to better align with goals. And usually when they say better align with goals, they mean just increase profits. You know, when I read that, I think that means increased profit. Kabam, the gaming company that has developed mobile games in partnership with entertainment brands, including Disney, which, by the way, Disney stock just fell this week. Marvel and Universal has laid off about 7%, around 35 people of its workforce. TechCrunch has learned from sources and confirmed with the company over email. The Vancouver-based company informed the affected employees about the move earlier this week. A person familiar with the development said, as we at Kabam reviewed our strategic priorities, we made the decision to adjust our resourcing structure in alignment with our goals. This means that while we will continue to hire in key areas in the year ahead, unfortunately, we are reducing our workforce by approximately 7%. For those we are parting ways with, we are grateful to their contributions to our success and are supporting them through this challenging transition. A Kabam spokesperson said in a statement emailed to TechCrunch. The company has a headcount of over 500 employees. Kabam has a catalog of mobile games generating hundreds of millions of dollars, including Marvel Contest of Champions, Disney Mirrorverse, Shop Titans, Transformers Forged to Fight, not for long, Mini Guns, Fast and Furious 6, the game Fast and Furious. There's a movie about there's a game about Fast and Furious 6. That's news to me. There's so many movies in that genre that why don't you just call it Fast and Furious, and just like kind of like what we do at Marvel Casino of Champions, you just increase your champions every time a movie comes out. Fast and Furious 6, that's unbelievable to me. Like, I feel like I'm dreaming somehow, or I'm on some kind of like hard drugs trip. Legacy and Blastron. The company also has studios and offices in Montreal, San Francisco, Charlottetown, Austin, and Los Angeles, alongside its headquarters in Vancouver. Founded in 2006, the game company ran as a startup until 2016, when it was acquired by South Korea's Netmarble Games for a reported $700 million to $800 million. In March this year, Netmarble's North American operations merged with Kabam. It aimed to bring many Netmarble game titles to Western markets. Kabam is one of many companies in the tech world that have cut its workforce during this economic slowdown. In the last few days, the impact of the ongoing financial crunch was largely seen through massive layoffs announced by Twitter and Meta. Companies including Netflix, Spotify, and Tencent also let some of their staff go. Similarly, Indian startups such as Unacademy and others laid off hundreds and thousands of employees to reduce the burden of lifted funding and investments. And that appears to be in the article. So, I don't think this is a sign that Kabam is dead or dying even, and that consequently the games that they run, including the Marvel Casino of Champions, is dead or dying. I see this as a company trying to get lean and hoping that the economic issues are temporary. So many industries, not just gaming, but entertainment, particularly with streaming. We're talking about the exercise industry with things like Peloton. We're talking about certainly the car industry, particularly with how much interest rates are rising on car loans and mortgage loans. You're having people who have less disposable income to spend on gaming. You combine that with the usual problems. I even think about the issue I covered last night or this morning, depending on when you viewed the video, where Kabam knows that certain players got the wrong rewards for the first Battleground season and literally put up 3+ million points that were getting much worse rewards than people who put up 100,000 points. And they felt it was inconclusive, and there were people who commented on that thread saying, okay, I'm not going to buy the daily specials anymore, and I'm not going to spend for Cyber Weekend. Like, there are lines in the sand regardless of people's financial background, even when they can't afford it, that they may say they choose not to. But I also think that in some ways the game is set up to make record revenue, not just from the future of the game with 7 stars, but also Ascension, and for those of you who like relics and Battlegrounds in general, has seemed to be on paper a plus to their financial health of the game, and certainly the morale of players who find it is like Alliance War 7.0 in terms of their enjoyment of it. So I really don't know what the future holds. I'm not going to pretend to know, but 7% of its workforce is certainly not a reason to think that the end is near. If it is, it is. But I think given what we also talked about yesterday on the channel with 7 stars going all the way up to rank 6, that is what Kabam is essentially saying. We have the next 4 to 5 years worth of progression for the highest tiered champions in the game outlined. And if it mirrors 5-star and 6-star rank up growth, and it takes about a year for materials in the economy of the game to produce the supply and demand enough for many players to get there, I feel like we're talking about the health and future of this game, as long as returns even remain somewhat constant of what they've been, till conservatively the year 2027. So that is my thought on this. It's interesting because I always get told I'm too critical of Kabam and I'm literally Mr. Negative, and so now I feel like by doing this glass half full video on this, Mr. Negative is probably going to be called Mr. Positive. But either way, I'm just giving you my 2 cents. I always try to keep it 100, or as some of my subscribers have said, keep it 1,000, whatever the heck that means. I look forward to reading your comments in the space below. And thanks for watching. Thanks again to KT1 for also covering this before me.